Very good morning, my dear student. So today I am going to discuss about the introduction to computer system. Under the introduction to computer system, the storage that we find, the storage we will going to discuss how the storage is. Okay, so as we find that how the storage section is working, see here that particular storage, how it will going to work. Okay. So in this particular type, what we find that there is a primary memory or the main memory. So main memory means a ROM, isn't it? So how many type of ROM we do find there? How many pattern of ROM we do find here? So the particular part that we can see, the particular things that we can find, that this has been divided into some sections. What are they? First is MROM. MROM means masked ROM. So this is a very first ROM that where the hard writer drive was conducted for a pre-programming set of data. That means when we are having a pre-programming set of data, all those particular set of data and instructions are being masked. Masked means what? They are being arranged. Okay, arranged in some order, in some of the way where we find that the particular thing will be worked out. Okay, so this is what we can find it, that this particular pattern of ROM, when we are working with, we find it that it is an inexpensive part of the ROM, and we can work on this particular structures. Okay, so as we find this particular structure is working, we are giving the part, and we are having those particular type of memory sections, and in this memory sections we can work on it. Okay, so this is the memory what we find, this is the memory what we see, that each and every memory what is there, all those different pattern of memory what we have, all this different type of memory what we find it, that this the particular memory will going to work in a certain way. Next what we can find, next we find that there is a PROM. PROM means programmable read-only memory. Okay, so programmable read-only memory. So this particular programmable read-only memory, what we find, the user buys a blank PROM, and then they enter the desired content using the PROM program. There is a PROM program is there, and with the help of this particular PROM program, what they do, they insert the different types of different patterns of the inside the PROM chips. There are a small fuse which is used, which are burnt open during the programming. Okay, so this is the way the thing will going to work. This is the way what we find the data can be stored. Okay, so we can store the data in this particular way. Next what we can find it, next what we can find that there is one particular pattern that is known as EPROM. EPROM means erasable programmable read-only memory. Erasable programmable, that means it can be erased by exposing the ultraviolet light during up to 40 minutes. Okay, so up to 40 minutes the data what is there, so those the data what we find, those the part of the data what we can see, that we can have those data, and using the ultraviolet ray we can clean it up, and we can make the particular thing, and we can work on it. Okay, so during the programming what we find that electrical charges are trapped. Okay, we are trapping the different pattern of electrical charges, and as we are trapping the different type of electrical charges, so those the different type of electrical charges what is there, those the type of electrical charges, as we find that each and every electric charge what is there, charge retained for how many, more than 10 years, because the charge has no leak path. So since the charge has no leak path, this remains there for how many year? For the 10 year the thing stayed in this particular area. Okay, so as we find this particular area, the particular charge been retained with this particular thing, what we find it, the work can be done. Okay, next what we can find, electronically erasable programmable read only memory. Okay, so electronically erasable programmable read only memory, what we find, the thing can be erased electrically. Okay, so as we find, the thing can be erased totally, program and erase electrically. So it can erase the reprogramming about 10,000 times. Okay, so 10,000 times what we can find, the work can be done. As we find it, this particular work can be done for the particular period of time, both what we can find, both the erasing part, both the erasing area that we are using. Okay, so as we are using them, we find it about 4 to 10 millisecond. Okay, both the erasing program can be done. So it is located, we can find it, this particular pattern of program, what is there, this particular part of program that we are working with, that we are finding with, that we are making the structures, and we are working with this particular pattern of the different types of the memory that we are going on, and we are making this, isn't it? So each of this particular memory, what we find, each of these particular sections of the memory that we find, that all this particular section of the memory, as we are working with, we are making them what, very much workable, and we can make these particular structures for our working purpose. So secondary memory means this is the section of the memory where we find that is an external memory and a non-volatile memory. Okay, volatile means what we can find it, that it will going to erase as soon as the power is not there. And non-volatile, what we can say, non-volatile is that pattern of memory where we find the thing will not going to erase if you switch off the power supply. So what we find, that slowly this particular memory is what, memory is slower, isn't it? And it use the storage of the data and information. So those the data and information what are there, data and information are stored here in a permanent way. Clear? So CPU does not access those memories. That means what we find here, that when the CPU is not accessing those memory in this particular area, in this particular part, we find it that we are having the structures, and we are getting that particular structures. So as we are having those structures, and as we are getting those structures, what we have a different types of accessing power. We have a different pattern of accessing power. Those the memory, what we find, that each and every memory, there is an input and output section is there. Memory will going to make it, that where it will going to store the input and where it will going to store the output, and based on this particular thing, what we find it, that work will be completed. So what we can find, that tape. Okay, tape is there, CD-ROM is there, pen drive is there. So when we are having all this thing, all this different part, each and every part of it, what we can find it, that magnetic tape mass oscillation storage device. So this is what we can find it, that previously there was a cartridge and magnetic tape was there. In this magnetic tape we can store the data, and we can work with the data. Okay. So as we find it, that when we are having this particular structure, when we are making this particular structure, we can find it that there is a secondary storage unit. Okay, so in this secondary storage unit or storage drive, what we can find it, there is a hard disk is there. Okay, so hard disk means what, the fixed head hard disk is there, and movable head hard disk is there. So two pattern of hard disks we can find it. Fixed head hard disk means each and every plate, that means you see it, they are like a plate. So if you think it a plate, so each and every plate, there you find the disk is been working in this particular area. As it will going to move, the data will going to read. And movable means this is the particular section you can find in from this particular section. Suppose it has completed the reading of this area, then it will come in this part, then it will come in this part, again it can go from here to direct in this area. So in this way it can move from one place to the another place. So there we can find that there are the hard disk is a set of a stacked disk, isn't it? There is a stacked disk is there, and each disk data are been recorded in an electromagnetically way, and we can find it that it is concentrated in a circular manner. That means the disk is been done in a circular way, the data they will going to work with. Okay, so there what we can find it that we have there different patterns of data, and we are working with different types of the data. So when we are using those data structures, when we are using all this storage, what we find that in this particular storage section, as we are talking, there is parallel advanced technology and logic attachment. PATA is there. One is PATA and one is SATA. SATA means serials advanced technology attachment. Okay, so parallelly the thing will going to done, and serially the thing will going to done. SATA and PATA system is there. We all know that we do describe about this, we find about it that what is a SATA system and what is a PATA system and how it will going to work. So PATA means the parallel advanced technology attachment, and SATA means serial advanced technology attachment. So those the things what we find, those the part what we find that we are going to work, and we find it that this way we can save the data and we can work with the data. Next what we can find, a small computer system interface, SCSI. Small computer, what we see, small computer system interface is there. So small computer system interface, in this particular section of the small computer system interface, we are having the data and we are working with this particular data. Okay, so next what we can find, solid state drive. The solid state drive means what, that we are having this particular concentration and we are making this particular structure. So this is what we can find it that we are working on this particular scenario, and we are finding it that particular work is been done in this way. Okay, so this is how we can see, this is how we can find it that when we are having different patterns of your devices, different types of storage devices, each and every storage devices what we have, all those storage devices will going to store the data and work with different types of way that it can find the work can be done. Okay, so compact disks read only memory. So compact disks read only memory, what we find that in this particular compact disks read only memory, we find it that there are the storage devices are there. So those the storage devices, that means what we are required to store, what we find that we will going to store in each of this particular device, we need to what, we need to find it that we will going to write the data and we will going to work on this particular data. So when we are writing on it, we find it that for each of this particular section, for each of this particular part, we find that when we are using the surface of the CD is made up of polycarbonate layer, and we can find it that it moved like a spiral tracks. Okay, so there are the spiral tracks are there, and as we find the spiral tracks are there, So what we find it that those the particular structure that we find, those the particular area that we find, that we are storing it, and we are giving the particular data. So those the particular data that we find it, that how it will going to work, just we are storing those data, and we find it that the work it will going to done. See here, the pit formation is there. Okay, so what we see that in this particular area, what we are doing, we are storing the data, and data are being, see here, in this particular way the data are being stored, isn't it? So there is a pit, and it's moved like a spiral. There is a spiral track is there. Based on the spiral track, what we find it, the particular thing will going to work. The particular thing will going to in this area where we find it, that we are writing, that means we are burning the area. Suppose this is a recorded area, what it has shown, this is recorded area, and this is a non-recorded area. So this is unrecorded area, this is unrecorded area. That means this is the burnt area, and this is the area where the thing hasn't been burnt. So we find it that in this particular way, what we do, we can store the data, and we can work with this particular data. Okay, so we can work with the particular data, and we can find it that the data will be working, and data will be finding in this particular manner. Okay, so as we are doing this, we can find that secondary storage device, what is there. First is a DVD. DVD means what? A digital versatile disk. Okay, digital versatile disk and digital video disk is there. So a DVD is there, DVD and DVD ROM. DVD digital versatile disk, digital video disk with a read only memory is there. So this is what we can find, that this particular disk used to store the significant amount of data, and we can find it, those the data can be stand for the compact disk part. So as we are giving the particular area, as we find that when we are working on this particular area, this particular sessions, we can find it that we will going to have the data, and we are working with this particular data. Okay, so those the particular data what is there, those the particular part of data what is there, you find it in the year of 1977 the thing has been sold, and it came into particular work, isn't it? So there what we find it, that we are using those pattern of the disk where we have data to be stored, isn't it? So single layer single side disk is there, single layer disk is there. Okay, single side disk is there, single layer disk is there, capable of holding 4.7 GB disk is there. So single side double layer disk is there. So all this particular pattern of disk what we find, that it is holding the data, it is working with the data. So double side double layer, single side double layer, all these different type of disk are there, and those the disk what it will going to do, it will going to keep the data, and it will going to work with the data. Okay, so as we find it that those the data what is there, those the part of data what is there, we are making them, and we are finding to it. Okay, so as we are finding to it, we find it those the data are in the particular area, and or in the particular manner that we are making the data to be workable. Clear? So this is how we can see how the data we are giving the data, and we are working with this particular data structures. Next, what we find that there is a pen drive. Pen drive means what? It is a small storage sections. Okay, so this particular pen drive is a small storage section, and those the secondary device or the storage device which are shaped like a pen, okay, with a built-in data storage that connects to a computer by the USB port. So this is the base of EEP ROM, where we find it that we allows to ensure the particular process. We are finding those every ports are there, and different port, what we USB port is there, we are using USB port, it activates there, and this is the pen drive what we can find, it can store the data. Okay, what is the storage capacity? We can find storage capacity is 64 MB to 128 GB, and it is removable and rewritable. Okay, so removable and rewritable, as we find it the thing is removable and rewritable, then what we find it that there is a RAM means random access memory, which RAM are not removable, but we can replace one new become an inaccessible due to their labels. Okay, there are the different patterns of labels are there, and we can detach this particular programming section. ROM, what we can find that we can deletion depend on the ROM in a various way. Then what we have a magnetic tape, isn't it? So this is a technology what we find that we are making the track of it, and we destroyed this that will be redundant to unless we are going to use that particular structure. So note how we find it that we are having this particular pattern of performance, and we are working on this particular pattern of performance, where we find that strong data what we have, strong data structures that we are going to have, that is been working here in a very effective way, isn't it? So this is what the total declaration that we have find, that how we have a different types of data and we work on this different patterns of data. So thank you all. Today I am ending my today's discussion here. Thank you all very much.